In the autumn of 2011, a phenomenon, a grassroots movement that we all know as Occupy Wall Street, became the growing face and voice of America. But at the start of 2011, there was one man that predicted a movement such as Occupy Wall Street would be sweeping through the United States. And that man is my current guest here to speak with RT, Gerald Celente, founder of the Trends Research Institute and publisher of the Trends Journal. Thank you for sitting down to speak with me again.
Thank you.
What do you think will happen with Occupy Wall Street in 2012?
Occupy Wall Street's gone global. You know how people keep looking to America for something to happen here, and then the rest of the world kind of latches onto it? Even though you think that American spirit is dead, this whole world kind of focuses on the United States for the center of some kind of social, economic, geopolitical, or cultural change. And Occupy Wall Street was just that. It inspired an Occupy movement worldwide. We call it the invasion of the octopi, like tentacles reaching out all over the globe. When you cut one off, another one grows. It's an estimated 80 countries in 112 cities. There's no stopping it. And by the way, the very police brutality that tried to stop the Occupy movement in Wall Street is what brought it to the forefront. The movement is not going to stop. Winter's set in. Things are quiet now. The governments around the world do not know how to control the octopi.
All the events of police brutality against Occupy Wall Street activists took place before the National Defense Authorization Act was signed by President Obama. What can happen now to all the Americans that speak out against the way that their elected officials are governing the country?
One of our top 12 trends for 2012 is Battlefield America. It's going to be the will of the people against the will of the government. The Senate of the United States and the House of Representatives, the gang of 535, and deciding, like this guy Lindsey Graham, the cracker from South Carolina, calling America a battlefield, and saying that if you're accused of being tied into a terrorist organization, or you're a belligerent, as the way the act is now written, you have no judge, you have no jury, you have no trial, you don't have charges filed against you. The military could come in and take someone like me that they may call a belligerent because they don't like what I have to say, and they could take me away, lock me up in detention, blow my brains out, no lawyer, no habeas corpus. It's the Bill of No Rights signed by President Obama. And what it does, it also allows the military to take somebody like me or someone they don't like who they choose, who the Gestapo chooses to be called an anti-American or working with a terrorist group. I may give money to a group that they don't like, and they could tie that back to me.
You have forecasted a trend involving what you believe will be economic martial law being implemented in the U.S. What exactly do you mean by that?
The entire financial system is collapsing. It's a worldwide financial meltdown. We can see the collapse of the European Union. It's happening in front of us. There's no way of bailing them out. Just the G7 has $7.5 trillion worth of debt coming due in 2012. How are they going to pay that off? As it collapses, look what's going on around the world. Look what's going on in Greece. It's a depression. It's a depression in Spain. It's a depression in Portugal. It's going to be a depression in Italy, a recession in France. It's collapsing around the world. You look at the housing market now starting to unravel, the bubble being burst in China. It's happening everywhere. So what we're saying is they're not going to be able to keep this afloat. We're going to see something smack down really hard, probably coming from the Europeans. When that happens, the United States will blame them and say, see those Europeans, it's them socialists. And now, unfortunately, we have to call a bank holiday because of the problems that they caused. Or a false flag, a terrorist strike, or war. which is another option going on very close to us as the Iranian conflict's building. They will give an excuse to call a bank holiday in America. You don't get your money yet. They close down the banks. Go back to 9/11. They closed down Wall Street. If you had certificates of deposit like I did and tried to get them out, I couldn't get them out. That's right, my money was frozen. I had a lot of money. See what happened to people when Argentina called a bank holiday back in 2001, 2002. People that had money in the bank account to buy a house, by the time the bank holiday was over, that money couldn't buy a car. That's right, they devalue the currency.
You brought up Iran. What are the major concerns right now when it comes to Iran and the possibility of a war?
The United States, again with the National Defense Authorization Act, part of that was that President Obama effectively has declared war against Iran. The latest legislation puts sanctions on foreign companies dealing with Iranian banks. They're effectively putting an embargo on Iran. It's an act of war. Go back to World War II. It's like when the United States stopped Japan from being able to buy oil. Now the Iranians can't sell it. If they lose just 20% of their ability to sell oil, you're looking at 60% of their GDP comes from oil sales. You're putting them out of business. If the United States, Israel, or NATO attacks Iran's nuclear facilities, it will be, as I've said before, the beginning of World War III. Syria may be the other avenue into it, because who's Syria's top ally? Iran. And as we have seen from reports that came out in WikiLeaks, the United States and the West has been very instrumental in undermining the Syrian government, even before the latest uprisings have begun.
You also say that there will be a global game changer this year because of the election.
Look at the people running for office. Look how disgusted the people are with them. It's going to be, in the United States, it's going to be another lesser of two evils.
You've predicted that Barack Obama would win, right?
Oh, we said Barack Obama would win back in October. We put our forecast out. If the current front runner is Romney, for example, or Gingrich or Santorum, you know, the only wild card in this, as we see it, is Ron Paul.
If U.S. President Barack Obama wins a second term, do you think that he'll change course in any way? Because he'll have a bit more freedom in his second term than in his first term.
Didn't Obama, when he got elected in 2009, have the entire nation virtually behind him? Do you remember the cheerleading in Grant Park? Do you remember that he had a Democratic Congress behind him? Do you remember that the people gave him everything that he wanted? And do you also remember all the backtracks that Obama went through? Remember Obama, first day he hits the stage, I'm going to close Guantanamo in a year, Jack. Hey, and remember those Bush tax cuts, no more for me, adios. Hey, remember that rendition, ain't going to happen under my watch. Oh, and those ugly wars that Bush had. How about some more Predator drones into Pakistan? How about up in the troop level in Afghanistan? I'll tell you what. After another 4 years of Obama, people are going to be wanting Bush back.
And what will be the game-changing trend or trends for 2012?
As I see it, there are 4 things that could change the future. One is repatriate, repatriate. Bring your jobs back home. Bring production back home. Is it going to cost a little more? Yes. But guess what? You're going to get paid more. And that quality is going to be better. For the trend to change, it has to begin at the grassroots. It's not only Americans. It's every country having national pride in what they do best. Number 2, direct democracy. Let the people vote. Let the people vote on major issues. I don't need, as I said, a gang of 535 telling me we have to go to war against Libya, we have to go to war against Iraq, we have to go to war against now Iran. Let the people vote. You want the war on drugs to keep going? Let the people vote. You want to bail out banks? Let the people vote. Right now, as I said, we have politicians telling us how to think, how to eat, what to believe, what not to believe, what to watch, and what not to watch. Number 3, secession. It's too big. The Soviet Union knows this story, and the United States should get the same story in their heads. It can't be run by a central government anymore. You think the Taliban want to invade Vermont? You think they got their eye on Utah? You know, here we are, it's 10 years after 9/11, and they're still putting out that same phony line that the reason that they want to invade us is because they hate our freedom and liberty. Freedom and liberty? Hey, anybody read the National Defense Authorization Act? Hey, you been felt up at the airport lately? Flying the friendly skies? GPS signal under your car? Cops watching you? Listen, what freedom? What liberty? Now, it has to do with foreign policy. My favorite trend of all of them, going out in style. Put style back into the system.
Amid the still ongoing economic hardship and joblessness and unemployment, are there any smart investments? Are there any successful moves to make?
Break the chains. Break the chains in every single way you can. You stop going to the chain stores and you start buying local. You start filling the market niche's needs. Where is it going to be the biggest growth was obvious. The whole IT movement is just going to continue to grow.
Cybersecurity, right?
Cybersecurity is going to be huge because they're going to keep hacking into it, and it's going to be a fight between the government and freedom. So anything having to do with cybersecurity is huge business. The other ones are anything having to do with healthcare. Anything. We're an aging society in the European nations and in America. Anything having to do with healthcare, alternative healthcare particularly. There's plenty of options and plenty of opportunities, but nothing is going to change until the individual changes. And that's the most important aspect to understand.
Gerald Celente, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.